See, we have begun our C course with introduction to C, and followed by that I have introduced what is a token, wherein we discussed an identifier. We have got in identifier keywords and user defined variables, and we have from then moved on to a variable having a data type. Followed by that we have seen how for a variable we can read the value from the keyboard, or how to display the value of a variable on the screen. Now in this particular chapter we are going to talk about how a variable can be used in an expression. So first we have to understand what are the different types of expressions, and of course when the variable is supposed to be used in an expression, it has to be used together with some operator. So how a variable in an expression will be referred as an operand, and what are the different operators we have is what we have to cover, and eventually we will get into typecasting. So first, what is an expression? An expression is anything that evaluates to a numeric value. Anything 2 plus 3 is an actually expression. So all these things which evaluates to a numeric value we can say is an expression. Say for example pi. If I have pi is what? Some symbolic constant, that is an expression. 20 is a literal constant, that is an expression. So rate I can say is again some variable, that itself is also an expression. Some number which is decimal value, that is also an expression. So a simple C expression consists of just a single item which can be a simple variable or a literal constant or a symbolic constant. It can be anything. So I am assuming pi is a symbolic constant, rate is a variable, and 20 and 1.25 are all literal constants. So yes, that is a simple and the simplest expression we can say. But now we are not talking about those kind of expressions. You are saying in this particular chapter we have expressions which are little complex. For example 2 plus 8 is an expression, and we can alternatively have 1.25 by 8 plus 5 into 5 into rate plus rate into rate. See, this is a complex expression. So how is this expression actually evaluated is what we will have to see. So yes, an expression is a combination of operators and operands. So if I say something like this, say notepad, I write here A is equal to B plus C. Now when I say A is equal to B plus C, this thing is an expression, and in that expression plus is an operator, B and C are operands, and overall this thing is called as a statement. We know that semicolon is a statement terminator. So yes, we say this is a statement, and in a statement we have got two parts. One is LHS, left hand side, and the other is RHS, right hand side. The right hand side in this particular case is an expression. Sometimes within the expression we don't necessarily use only variables. We can also invoke a function from an expression, but of course that is an advanced topic to be covered later. But right now we have an expression, and the expression for us is made up of operators and operands combination. That is what we are saying here. Plus is the operator, B and C are operands. So this is an expression which will evaluate to some value. So in C we have got different types of instructions. We say declarative instructions. So we have declarations. All declarations are called as declarative instructions. Arithmetic instructions, where some calculation is going to be performed. Number 1 is added to number 2. 5 is divided by 3. These are calculative expressions, arithmetic expressions. And then we are also going to see control instructions. In control instructions we have sequence control instructions, selection or decision instructions, which is actually if statement, repeating or loop instructions, something like while loop, for loop, all those things. Control case instructions, something like a switch statement, and so on. Of course this by itself is a big topic which we are going to cover in the subsequent chapter. So for now, expression is simply a combination of few operators and operands. which evaluates to some numerical value. That is what we are saying is an expression. Now the most important thing we have to understand is the list of operators which we have in C language. So yes, first we can start with arithmetic operators. Now what are arithmetic operators? Operators which when performed, which when execute on the operands result in some value, and these values are supposed to be numerical values. So I can have 10 plus 2, which is again going to be a numerical value. I cannot say A plus B, that is not allowed. So arithmetic operators are the one which when applied on an operand or a set of operands will result in a numerical value. That is what we are calling it as an arithmetic operator. So we have got plus, minus, multiplication, division, modulus, increment, decrement, all these are arithmetic operators. So let us now take with a program. Let us understand all of these with some program. So I have n1, I have n2, and let us say I have n3. Three variables I am taking, and all three are of type integer right now. Now what I will do, n1, I am hard coding the value rather than reading from keyboard, though we can also read from keyboard. We have already seen that how to do in the previous chapter. And I say n3 is equal to n1 plus n2. This is a simple arithmetic operation, and I say scanf, not scanf, rather we can directly print here using printf, and I want to print specifically the value of n3, semicolon. Now press F5, 40 is the value, perfect. Now here I give slash. So when I give slash here, this basically means a division operator. Now a integer, the value 10, when divided by 30, actually we should get what? 10 divided by 30, something like 0.333 something we should get. But you will see that the value is 0. Why 0? Because this we said is a integer value. The result is 0. Same thing, now I change it to float, and of course because I changed float there, here I should put f. 10 divided by 30, now the value will be different, which is going to be something like 0.333 and so on. See, 0.3333, because we have given here as float. So basically the point here is the value of expression is pretty much dependent on the data type of the operands. Here n1 and n2 are the operands. Whatever is the data type of the operand, that is going to decide the value of a expression on the right hand side, and that value is assigned to the left hand side variable. Now here what we can as well do is, imagine n1 is, now I say something like 1.0 into n1 by n2. So what is this whole thing going to evaluate to? 1.0 by itself is a float value, into n1 becomes a float, and that whole thing will be divided by n2, which is again a float. So there is absolutely no difference here. So now if I run, we get 0.333 only. But now what I will do is, I will say n1 and n2 are integer, but intentionally I am making n3 alone as float. And now n1 and n2 are integer, so I remove this. So now what is the value of n? Let us make this little simple. We can give 5 and 2. So what should be n1 by n2? 5 by 2, which is supposed to be 2.5. So value of n3 float should be 2.5. But you see, the value it is going to give is only 2 and not 2.5. Why is it so? The problem is n1 by n2 is first evaluated without knowing what is the variable on the left hand side. Without knowing the data type of the variable on the left hand side, the expression is going to be evaluated by itself. So the expression knows n1 is integer, n2 is integer, hence it will compute the result also as integer. and that integer will be upgraded to float and assigned to n3, and that is how 5 by 2, actually 2.5, but only 2 is taken as the result is integer. So now what I'll do, now I'll say 1.0 into, now what is going to happen? First 1.0 into n1 is going to execute. That is, we are now doing a floating point division, floating point variable, not variable, rather decimal or float value is multiplied with integer. The result is going to be float. 1.0 is actually a decimal value, that into variable which is of type integer, the expression is going to be a decimal value. Let us say the float value. Float divided by integer will again be a float. So now see the result, it should be 2.5. Just by providing this 1.0, we made the data type of this as float. Float by integer, float. So if an expression includes only integer and integer, result will be integer. But if an expression includes float and integer, the result of an expression is going to be float. That is the point to be concluded here. And this is something very important in arithmetic operators. You have to remember, this is the point to be noted in all arithmetic operators, whether it is plus, minus, multiplication or division, in all the cases. Now what is this modulus? So here again I'll say division replaced with percentage symbol, and we can make n3 itself also as integer now, even otherwise it's okay. Now when I run this, see the value of n3 is 1. Now why it is 1? 5 by 2, when you divide, the remainder is 1. If you divide 5 by 2, the remainder remains is 1. So modulus is actually a remainder operator. After dividing them, what is the value which retains? Precisely that is what we are going to get here. Remainder. So modulus is a remainder operator. So what all we covered? Plus you know, minus you know, multiplication you know, division you know, and modulus, the remainder also you know. What remains now? Plus plus, minus minus. So these are increment and decrement operators. So what is plus plus? Now let us say n1 is 5. Now I'll give n2 is equal to n1 plus plus. Actually there are two ways of writing it. I'll explain both of them to you. I can say n2 is equal to plus plus n1 or n1 plus plus. Both are fine. I'm going to print both n1 and n2. So let us understand the first one first. n1 is 5. This is called as post increment. Now what does post increment means? The value of n1 is first assigned to n2 and then it is incremented by 1. So what is the value of n1 here? 5. So 5 will be assigned to n2 and then n1 will be incremented to become 6. So what should be the output here? n1 should be 6 and n2 should be 5. 6 and 5. But if I comment this and instead write like this, what does this mean? This is pre-increment operator. Now in pre-increment operator, the value of n1 is first incremented and then it will be assigned to n2. So now the value of n1 is 5. So first it will increment and it becomes 6 and then 6 will be assigned to n2. Hence both n1 and n2 will be now, press F5, 6 and 6. So we have two, pre-increment and post-increment. See actually this one line, if I want to split into two lines, it will be like this: n2 is equal to n1 and then n1 is equal to n1 plus 1. That is the meaning. Instead of writing these two lines, we are doing it in one line. Likewise, this one line can be done in two lines, like first assign and then increment. Sorry, first this is pre-increment. So first it will increment and then it will assign. First it is incrementing, then it is assigning here. So this is how you should know post increment and pre-increment operators are different. So carefully use them in an expression. So in other words, we generally what we say is post increment, the value is first used in an expression and then incremented. Whereas in case of pre-increment, the value is first incremented and then used in an expression. That is the basic difference between these two. So how many operators so far? Plus, minus, multiplication, division, modulus, increment, decrement. These are all arithmetic operators we have. Of this, remember plus plus and minus minus, how many operands are there? When I used plus plus, the operands are only one. So that's why plus plus, which is increment, and of course minus minus will be decrement. Again, minus minus also can be pre-decrement and post-decrement. Pre-decrement, post-decrement. And in such case, these two operators, because we have only one operand associated with them, are referred as unary operator. Whereas the others are all binary operator. We need two operands. Now what is also very important is the precedence of the operators we should know. Now why is the precedence needed? Imagine now we have got n1, n2, n3 and n4. Just imagine there are four variables now. Now n1 I gave some value. Likewise I'll give n2 some value, say 6. n3 I give some value, say 7. Now I write here n4 is equal to n1 plus n2 into n3. Now what do you think is the value of n4 going to be in this particular case? The confusion arises because is it going to first add n1 and n2 and then multiply with n3, or is it first going to multiply n2 and n3 and then going to add to n1? So what is the right thing which is going to happen? This depends on the precedence of the operator. So here what is said is the operators plus plus and minus minus have highest precedence, and followed by that multiplication, division and modulus operators have precedence, and least precedence is plus and minus symbols. So when I put this in precedence, how is it going to get evaluated? First n2 will be multiplied by n3 and then it will add the result to n1. So what should be the value here? 6 into 7, which will become 42, plus 5, that is 47 should be the result. Verify. 47 is the result. So the point is operator really plays a very important role. But what if I want to evaluate n1 plus n2 first? Put them in brackets. Brackets have the highest precedence. So now first n1 plus n2 will be evaluated. That means 5 plus 6 will be done, which will become 11, and that will be multiplied by n3, which is 77. Into 7, and that should become 77. So the precedence of bracket is highest. When compared to everything else, the bracket value is highest. And then we are multiplying here with. So yes, though I have not put in precedence rule here because bracket is a different category, I have put only arithmetic category here. Now plus plus is again out of all these three, plus plus is the highest precedence. So for example now, if I give something like this, n2 plus plus, like this if I give, now what would be the result? It would still be 47 only because I have used a post increment operator. So how does it work? First the value of n2 will be used in an expression which is 6, and then it is multiplied by 7. 6 into 7, 42 plus 5. that will become 47. So result should be 47. Press F5. 47. But suppose I change this, instead of here I put it as here. Now what will be the result? First this is going to be incremented. So N2 will now become 7, and then it will be used in the expression. So 7 is going to be used in an expression to be multiplied with N3. So 7 into 7 will become 49, and 49 plus 5 will become 54. Press F5 and confirm it. Yes, it is 54. So yes, it is very important you understand the precedence. Brackets has the highest precedence, followed by that here in this case plus plus, followed by that multiplication, division, modulus, and least precedence is plus and minus. But I would always suggest, without depending on precedence, better put brackets. That will give you more clarity. I would always prefer putting like this, and then this will be, and finally this whole thing will be evaluated. That gives me more clarity, no confusion, and I don't have any kind of assumption. So I know N2 plus plus will be done first, and then it will be added to N3, and then multiplied by N3, and then added to N1. So this is all about arithmetic operators. So how many arithmetic operators? Plus, minus, multiplication, division, modulus, increment, decrement, and to be worried also about the operator precedence. In the subsequent topic I am going to cover other category of operators, but most routinely used operators are arithmetic operators in programming. Thank you.